And talking about the Prime player, we have him to the right side of the map in red. Byun Prime, and his opponent, of course, starting to the left in blue is Quantic's center. Yep. Quantic home to Hyun and Senna, two of the TSL players now.
Yeah, Quantic, always been a solid team, around for a really long time. A lot of player swaps, and now a lot of people jokingly calling them Zombie Quantic because they're back, but they don't look like a nasty zombie that wants to eat your brains. They're just like a really professional team that's picking up smart players, so I don't know if the name really makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things that is a little bit weird in Korea, if you talk about Quantic, is because Quantic doesn't have a team house in Korea. So most of the teams that participate in the GSL, especially the Koreans, are part of a team that has a team house within Seoul, or at least close to Seoul. So this is not the case for the two of them. So they live at home and practice on their own. I mean, they can practice together, but it's not like they have this training environment that we usually have in the dream house. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's very similar to a situation where you have, for example, when Supernova was on the MTW, he's living with some of the other Liquid players, including former player Jinro, and then and you know, when you look at that, it's like, well, he doesn't get the practice that he would if he were in a team house, but he's still living with other pro gamers.
Yeah, but actually they don't. Like Hyun and Senta don't, as far as
they don't. They don't live like that. But different situations arise when you are on a foreign team and you don't have a team house in Korea. It was what I was trying to say with that. It's true. You know, they have to play against each other online to practice.
They talk a lot to each other, and it was really quite funny because Hyun was so happy when he realized that he had to face Labyrinth in the next round. He was very, very worried that he would... Well, not really worried, but he actually did not think that he would be up against Labyrinth. He thought that he would be up against Labyrinth opponent in the first round. So he was quite... Yeah, he trained a lot for it. I actually asked him a couple of times if he wants to get food. He's like, no, I have to stay back home. I have to train. I'm like, wow, you are really, really excited for the next match.
I remember, you know, I was in that room when you guys were talking, and you were just asking, like, do you want to go get food with me sometime? He's like, no, wait. After the game. After the game. And you're like, so after the third round? He's like, no. After everything, after the whole season, you're like, oh, okay. He's like, what if you lose? And he's like, he's laughing.
Yeah, and just to complete the information, Labyrinth, of course, in the first round had to face first and was able to win with a 2-0. Hyun was quite happy about that because he thinks that first would have been a tougher opponent for him to face.
Yeah, just going back to those matches, kind of this builders are unfolding. Commander first in double barracks, and Senna's now going into his own expansion.
Yeah, Senna started with a much earlier gas here than Byun did, which we see with the 100 gas on the tap, so the factory will be built very, very soon here. But first we have a bit of a micro fight in the main base of Byun.
I'm a little bit surprised Senna didn't try to bunker there. Obviously now it's too late with his SCV being so low on hit points, but he's doing some nice pressure here, forcing more SCVs off the line. He will be able to kill maybe one. He should now try to kill one. And he's delaying this barracks here.
Takes down one of them. It was a little bit unnecessary. Well, that doesn't... It's the SCV, he could have pulled it back. It was kind of obvious that you need one more shot and then it's down. So if you send it back, then you have a bit more mining. On the other hand, you save the 2 Marines. It's a little bit safer to attack like this if you want to save your units.
Yeah, very true. But regardless, now Center is getting his command center up. He's got a much better attack overall, and Byun is going to have to respond to this.
There's a lot of minerals, 500 minerals already for Senna.
Yeah,
it will of course change pretty soon when he starts with his orbital attack and also gets his production up again after Starport here.
He's going to start the Starport. He's going to get Hellions being reactored out here from the factory. It's going to give him a little bit of map control. That factory, a little bit ahead of itself. And there it goes. It's like when you're at the photography booth, like, stand here on this X, and you're like trying to walk all around it because you can't quite figure out where the X is. It's kind of like that. You know when you go to the photographer's booth and they have some weird faded out X on the ground that you're supposed to stand on, but you can't really see it because so many people have been standing on this X and they're like,
don't you
stand on the X? A C, an X, maybe like a Y, even just like a circle sometimes.
No. Don't they usually have a seat?
Oh, a seat. Well, if you're sitting in a seat, that's one thing, but if you're standing, if it's a standing photo.
I never had to stand.
It just depends on the type of photo you get. Like, there's certain poses you have to do while you're standing. But anyways, like if there's an X on the ground, sometimes it's faded because a bunch of people stand on it and you're like, where's that X? I don't know. That's what the factory looked like there. This is one of these jokes that just goes on and I'm like, this is a bad life choice that I've made here. It feels like a life choice. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to remember this joke for the rest of my life.
It's my fault actually, but I've never seen like a picture booth like this.
Okay, well, I'm going to lose sleep over it now, but
Nah, don't worry about it.
Center has a lot of
When
Hellions.
it comes down to the bad joke department, I'm way ahead of you.
Well, we will see.
On the other hand, I have an excuse. I'm German. We're not funny.
Well, I think you're funny. This is a really nice timing by Center, but the problem is Byun has the concave at the top of the ramp because he's seen this coming. If he didn't know this was coming, he probably would have his Marines clumped up and might lose a lot. And the thing is now Center's going to have to figure out what he wants to do here because this timing has been basically shut down. He's going to have to try to split with a drop, maybe try to drop into the backdoor expansion.
Look at the line of Marines here. He really wants to make sure that he doesn't clump them up, and now the bunker is ready. He gets a few shots off with the Hellions, but the bunker is there. And he needs to start dropping now, because the big problem for Senna is that Byun is already ahead in economy, just by a little bit, but that will add up over time.
And what's really smart by Byun is he knows he's gone combat shields first, which I really like. He knows that this drop is coming. He already prepares. He leaves units in the bunker because if Center tries to run up, he doesn't have enough units to run past the bunker. So just the units alone that are in the bunker will be fine. Brings the units to the back, and Center's attack here is totally thwarted. And now with all the production Byun had with that faster command center and all the add-ons he's added to his barracks, Byun is way ahead of this game.
The thing is that Senna in tech still has an edge over his opponent. Byun is just now completing his own starport. He doesn't have siege tanks yet. This is still something that Senna can utilize. He has the second siege tank now out. He's going into siege mode. So if he hits timing here or tries to pressure his opponent with his tech choice, then he might be able to put Byun in a bad spot. But as for now, Byun did really well with this defense.
Byun is doing what we've seen Innovation do in TVT a lot, and what we've seen people do back in 2011 was when the strategy was the most popular, going CC first into no tanks, like a tankless build for a long time with a big amount of Marines where you can control the map and pressure with drops. On this map, it's pretty tough to actually attack because it's a long map. The base is so easy to defend because it's in the back of your expansion, or the back of your main base, but we'll see what Byun wants to do because he's powered up a lot of units, but the tanks are really important.
Yeah. They're a little bit late for him later because he was completely focusing on the bio. He adds them now. And in regards to the rest of the tech, we have them, especially the biotech, we have them still on even footing. The +1 attack upgrade is faster for Byun. This is something that will help him, but Center already started his own, so there's a bit of a window that Byun can use to go into bio fights. Yeah. But against the siege tanks, it's really going to be tricky.
This is the fight that Byun wants to take on the middle map. If he catches those tanks unsieged, he wins the fight. But if they're sieged up, he has to find another way. And this is really, really scary. If you mess up your map awareness and you just are not paying attention, you don't siege up your tanks, you can lose the entire game because of this. Byun looks like he may want to go for a double drop in the main, which is really risky at this point in time. I don't think it's a good idea.
And we have the forward supply depot, so he could actually spot this early Center that is, but Byun decides against it. He was thinking about it. You could really see him hesitating there with his entire army and the 2 medivacs, but then he's like, well, I'm not going to risk that. He moves to the right side now. There's still one SCV trying to get a good glimpse at this expansion, but Marine and SCV are being spotted and he takes them out. Yeah. Whereas Center is now even building a sensor turret to the bottom left of his own main base, making sure that drops are not going to be an issue anymore.
Center is supply blocked, and this is, I think, the 4th time I've seen him get supply blocked in this game. Byun is just pulling way ahead in supply. He's 142. He's not missing his depots. He had the better economy. He powered up his barracks faster, but the composition is different, but otherwise, he's doing a great job. And this is what I'm talking about. That tank needs to siege up immediately. It does. Byun can't fight here, but he's going to try to trade against the bio army a little bit. This is a good engagement for Center. You know, in this matchup, it's all about ratios, just like most mirror matchups, and you have to have the right ratio of siege tanks and Marines.
It's also an issue that we don't have the combat shield yet for Center. Byun started with this, so he already has stim and combat shields. He has a huge advantage when it comes down to the hit points of his Marines, and with the Marine numbers being at 72 and 45, this matters, and this is exactly the situation. Look at it, here we go, and this combat shield really mattered in this fight.
He does survive, and the supply is fairly even, but if you look at now the medevac count, I mean, that's where most of Center's supply really is there. That was a great trade for Byun. It could have been even better, but it puts him in a good position, I feel, here.
It was actually not as good for Byun as I thought it would be. Byun was before the fight at 70 Marines against, I think, 50 if I'm not wrong. And right after the fight, they were on even Marine numbers. So he lost a lot here. At first it looked really good, but then he stayed too long into the siege tank rage. He really thought that he could push through, kill the tanks too, but that didn't work well for him. And now his center is a lot closer in supply than he was before.
But Byun gained one very important thing from this fight, that is map control and map dominance, and he's starting to use that now. He's going to try to pick off these medevacs. He'll just pull back here once the tanks are sieged up. Now he's got a good position for the main. He's just going to lift in there And this is why that fight was such a good choice for Byun. He gets those siege tanks as close as he can to the side. There's a sensor tower that sees everything, but even if you see it, it doesn't matter. He's going to come in here and start clicking off add-ons and these extra depots on the edge.
He finds a nice spot where the sieged up tank in the main base can't reach him, and now suddenly Quantic Senna has to deal with all these units in the main base as well as the threat at the bottom of the ramp. This is really an unfortunate spot.
But the counter drop.
Yeah, Senna reacts with the counter drop. He wants to go all out of this.
Byun has some units here, but they're not enough. He could actually just power through regardless of the siege tank being here. This is going to be trouble.
Oh, nice. Byun sees it right away and immediately starts to stim. But still, this is a lot that Senna is dropping in his opponent's main base. Supply is still even, and now suddenly it's Senna who puts on the pressure on his opponent's main.
Yeah,
this is crazy. Both of them taking down buildings in the main.
Byun rallies his units over with that great production he has, but he's starting to lose add-ons. Meanwhile, Byun's drop is pretty much cleaned up. Center starting to take the better engagements here. He's going to pick off the other drop as well. This is looking better and better for Center all the time.
Senna is destroying the production now. He's at least trying to take at least the reactors down because the barracks themselves are being guarded by one siege tank. And now he's in the middle of all these supply depots. He can heavily supply block his opponent.
Well, Byun losing so much supply, it's going to take a lot to supply block him, but he breaks through here. This is starting to look really scary because he's got a much better army in Center's main now, and he's camping his production facilities, whereas Center is rallied out enough units. He still has that siege tank there, and he's finally going to clean up Center. So Center, I feel, if he had microed a little bit better in the main, they'd be a little bit closer, but that's too much for him.
Yeah, GG. It was a matter of army supply in the end. We suddenly had more than twice the army supply for Byun than we had for Senna.
Exactly. You got 4 siege tanks in a main base versus no siege tanks in the main base. That's what it came down to.
The siege tanks at the bottom completely saved the rest of the main base of Byun, and he just had too much in the end. He did too much damage to the top left. Sender was never really able to do anything about it. And now suddenly we have a 2-0 victory for our prime Terran player. So
this is a little bit of an unexpected result. I thought Center was going to be able to edge this one out.
I thought it would at least go over 3 games. I wasn't quite sure if Senna would take it. I talked to Hyun earlier about the match, and I was like, well, I think this is one of the closest series that we have today. But I thought it would be at least 3 maps, no matter who wins.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be close, but Byun would edge it out. But Center, that Center would edge it out. But Byun looking really good there, just showing his experience in that type of situation where they're both sieging up each other's mains. Byun, I feel, made the better decisions. He was able to have that better crisis management.
He played really well today, and you could just really see his experience. So that was definitely one of those games where Byun was able to shine, takes it with a 2-0, advances to the 3rd round of Code A now, whereas Senna has to play in the up and downs once again. This was where he met his former teammate the last time, Shine. Both of them had to fight each other. Yeah. Let's find out what's going to happen this time, but first of all, of course, we're having a short break, and then we're going to head into match number 3 and number 4, and the next best of 3 is going to feature
Labyrinth and Hyun.
Yeah, a Terran versus Zerg with Labyrinth against Hyun. See you guys in a few minutes.